Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the US.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens...
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Sunetra Gupta from Oxford University on, and she was implying, and I'm interested in you because you have a global mandate, a global view, was that a problem we don't think about in lockdowns is that they're very nationalistic. That if we lock down our economy, then it hits our economy. But it also means we are not buying stuff. We're not trading with weaker economies. We are not just destroying our own jobs, we're destroying the jobs of all those that in the poorer parts of the world that export to us. That seemed to me to be a reasonable point.
Really important point by Professor Gupta. I want to say it again. We in the World Health Organization do not advocate lockdowns as a primary means of control of this virus. The only time we believe a lockdown is justified is to buy you time to reorganize, regroup, rebalance your resources, protect your health workers who are exhausted. But by and large, we'd rather not do it. Just look at what's happened to the tourism industry, for example, in the Caribbean or in the Pacific, because people aren't taking their holidays. Look what's happened to smallholder farmers all over the world because their markets have got dented. Look what's happening to poverty levels. It seems that we may well have a doubling of world poverty by next year. We may well have at least a doubling of child malnutrition because children are not getting meals at school and their parents in poor families are not able to afford it. This is a terrible, ghastly global catastrophe, actually. And so we really do appeal to all world leaders. Stop using lockdown as your primary control method. Develop better systems for doing it. Work together and learn from each other. But remember, lockdowns just have one consequence that you must never, ever belittle, and that is making poor people an awful lot poorer.
Wow. Okay, note to producer Vish. Let's get to the meat rather than the intro from that.
I think I had that marked at start at 38. The knuckle brain at the start didn't need it. But
Andrew Neil is one of the most disingenuous. I want to look down the barrel because I'm sure Andrew Neil watches this. One of the most disingenuous, fake, lying propagandists that there is in news media. Fact. Jack Maxey.
All right, well, let's not let the lying propagandists negate from what the World Health Organization official said.
Right.
And I think there's a growing consensus around the world that we have made a great error in keeping this world shut down. And there was some evidence that came out from Florida last week. They have almost no infections in their schools. Nobody has died. There's not a single school in the state of Florida with more than 3 or 4 faculty members who've been infected. So I think that what we're starting to realize, for example, Raheem, we're looking at infections going up by 10%, say 17%, I think is the 14-day average. They're up 17% according to the New York Times. Yet deaths and mortalities are down 5%. So either the medical treatment is getting much, much better, or we are watching this virus, in my opinion, start to decay over time, and it is less lethal, et cetera, et cetera. You did have Tedros come out today and say that lockdowns were the thing that we had to do because we had this novel virus and it would be just irresponsible not to have done something at the start. He said there's never been a moment in history in which herd immunity has been the strategy. Mr. Tedros, Mr. Lee Mao Tedros, I want to remind you that there has never been a strategy in history where we shut down the entire planet either. The normal course of events in history were that herd immunity occurred over time, or these viruses sort of die out over time. I want to point out, Raheem, and I'd love to get your input on this. Personally, I'm not a real believer that we're going to have 6 billion people on planet Earth vaccinated by next year so as to have this herd immunity through the vaccine. I can't imagine that that's happening. We just found out today that Johnson & Johnson has delayed their trials in the United States. It's not clear yet. Apparently, one of the participants had an adverse reaction. Obviously, this was the abundance of safety. This is nothing to say that there's anything wrong with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but we've seen the same thing occur with the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. I think it's important for people to understand that I do not think that this vaccine is going to be a silver bullet under any circumstances. And there was some talk earlier today on MSNBC where Dr. Gupta from Washington, or University of Washington, they were arguing about how irresponsible Donald Trump is at super spreader events where everybody's going to die, unlike NBA super spreader events where it's only police cars and public property that pay the price. And I think that people are just starting to recognize that, hey, we can deal with this. We can live with this. I think a huge tell, Raheem, last week was that spontaneous rally at the old age home in Colorado where these elderly people came out and said, you know what? I'd rather die of COVID than die of loneliness. Almost universally, they said, I just want to hug my family. I want to see my grandchildren. The average death from this is 78 years old. So if you're 78 years old, you lost 6-8 months of that timeline, even if you're healthy. And I think that it's time to stop, Raheem. Your thoughts?
Let me ask you. Well, I don't actually have many thoughts on this. Myself. It's one of those situations where I was very heavily, on the side of the 30 days to slow the spread. I think that was a responsible thing to do when we didn't know more about the virus. Right? It was at its. It could have been far worse. Put it that way. Right? And I think.
No question.
And I think the erring on the side of caution at the very beginning of these things is probably the way to go. However, it has gone to ridiculous lengths. I mean, the fact that people are being told that they can't vote now, it helps obviously that they're Democrats, but that are actually afraid of it. But the idea that you can go to Target but that you can't go and line up and vote is obviously a manifest nonsense. But I want to get your thoughts on something that the British Health Secretary said today, and I want to see how you feel about this, Jack. And I'm going to just quote here from I forget his name, Matthew Hancock. So he says, quote, "First, it says that enough people get COVID, we will reach herd immunity. This is not true. Many infectious diseases never reach herd immunity, like measles and malaria and AIDS and flu. With increasing evidence of reinfection, we should have no confidence that we would ever reach herd immunity to COVID, even if everyone caught it. Herd immunity is a flawed goal without a vaccine, even if we could get to it, which we can't. The second central claim is that we can segregate the old and the vulnerable on our way to herd immunity. This is simply not possible. We're not the kind of country that abandons our vulnerable or just locks them up," end quote.
Okay, well, let's start backwards. They are the kind of country that abandons their old and just locks them up, and they failed miserably. The very idea of going in public and comparing the idea of herd immunity with AIDS, a lethal disease, is idiotic, right? Measles is also, quite frankly, quite a lethal and damaging disease, much worse than COVID-19 for the vulnerable of measles, the young. And it's very, very infectious. That's why measles requires a vaccination rate in the high 90s just to be effective. It's one of the reasons why anti-vaxxers create these little measles outbreaks all around the country, because we require that level of herd immunity. But then you have all these people today. For example, let's remember the influenza vaccine. If they get it 50-60% right in any given year, they're really happy. Let's remember what's the backbone of the influenza vaccine every year. It's a mutated version of the 1918 influenza virus and dozens of other potential influenza viruses, including several coronaviruses. So I just don't believe that they are going to solve this thing with the vaccine. And quite frankly, if you are a young person, you have to think about this. Is it better to take a risky vaccine or risk getting a disease that theoretically will not harm you at all if you are young and healthy? These are facts. These are uncomfortable facts, but the public is starting to understand, and certainly science is starting to understand it. We had the declaration from the scientists just last week who are all advocating that we need to open it up. We're doing more damage to young people. We are causing more suicide. We have willfully, probably in the greatest error in the history of the modern era, destroyed the global economy. And for what? People are starting to ask the question, for what? And I think it's a reasonable question. And I think realistically going forward, I think science is going to be the victim here, because people do not feel that science created a definitive answer here. I think they believe that science, quotations, promoted excessive fear. And here we are 9 months into this pandemic. We've had lower than 5% infection rates in the testing now for 3 weeks or more. This is well below the 5% magic number for a dangerous infectious disease. And yet here we are still fomenting this idea of fear. Still this idea, you see it on the street. Raheem, tell me, when you walk down the street, don't you see these people that'll cross the avenue rather than pass you on a sidewalk without a mask?
That's how people react to me anyway, though.
Well, that may be true. That may be true, brother. But we see it. It's like Vish and I, when we walk home from work, there's always a couple people that we pass every day. You know, you get used to the same.
Is that because you're holding hands, though?
Well, then they're just homophobic.
Homophobes.
Yeah,
terrible. Exactly. Look, Jack. What else are we learning now? How many signatures do we have on this Barrington Declaration now?
The Barrington Declaration, I believe, has over 15,000 signatures. The last time I looked a few days ago, it was at 12,000. So I'm sure there are more and more. And the Great Barrington Document is not written by right-wing radicals. This is supported by some very, very thoughtful people who are just looking at the numbers. And you can go back in history, and it helps you question what we're doing. If you look at the Hong Kong flu of 68, 69, on a relative basis, it killed more Americans than this did. Not a single school was ever shut down. Not a single city was ever shut down. They never got actually, ironically, in that case, they did get a vaccine pretty quickly, but it was just considered part of the annual flu program. And then the same thing was done with the Shanghai flu in the late 50s. Relatively speaking, it was a greater number. Now, granted, there was a lot of fear at the start of this, and let's remember who promoted that fear. The Communist Chinese Party. How is it that when we look around the world, we say communists don't do it better, but when they decide to weld you into your apartment and shut down your life and tell you you can't do anything, think how frightening it is that these theoretically liberal Western leaders immediately defaulted to the communist model to control this pandemic. And have they succeeded? No, but they succeeded in controlling you. And you have to wonder why. Why has all of this occurred? Not just how, but why. And I think these are all questions that history is going to ask over the next several years. And I think it's going to be very, very damaging for a lot of people. I think we're in the situation almost like at the end of the Second World War, where you had all the Germans expecting they were going to have some miracle weapon that was going to save them. So they kept going in this deluded notion that at one point they were going to be rescued. This seems to be like the leftist opinion of the coronavirus. Like one day there's going to be this magic medicine that's going to solve the whole problem. Maybe. But guess what? Life's dangerous business. You got to go forward with it. Yeah, you can't hide in your basement forever unless you're Joe Biden.
I like the idea of, and obviously we had Steve wearing the new Federal State of China hat, which a lot of people said they want at the beginning of the show. I like the idea of having like a Jack Maxey motivational poster, right, that says, what is it? Life's a dangerous business.
That's right. Being free is a dangerous business, but it's all worth it.
Who would pay for that? Come on, life's a dangerous business. Jack Maxey promotional posters. We're going to make
you're
sure
always
they
going to
happen.
fail, but you may as well be smiling on the way out.
We'll be back in a moment.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction, then coated 3 times with our durable Granite Stone finish. Granite Stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared, just like the pros. And because Granite Stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire Flambe Delicious Cherries Jubilee. Plus, it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your Granite Stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite Stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a Granite Stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you could do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms and may have side effects. Imagine no more. Get your complimentary sample of Instaflex Advanced just by texting JOINT to 231231. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's #1 at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting JOINT to 231231. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles, absolutely free. Text JOINT to 231231.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to the War Room. Hey, Raheem, I want to give you a notice that on Jack Maxey's T-shirt, "Life is a dangerous business." My 3 ex-wives have already contacted me, blown my phone up. They want to order them in bulk. So, Jack, great idea about swag for the War Room crowd.
I'm making them. Look, guys, I'm making them. I'm taking the commission. If nobody else is going to get this done, I'm going to get it done.
Also, everybody loves maggots for Trump.
That's Maget. That's Maget. Please, that's Maget's. Okay. I want to go now. We got over the weekend. I was very honored on Saturday and Sunday to be working the territory up in Northeast Pennsylvania with Rod of Iron Ministries in a tremendous conference out there. The Rod of Iron Conference was to bring supporters of the Second Amendment together to hear motivational talks and to hear policy talks about supporting President Trump and really focus on trying to get out the vote. Want to now turn to, we got Justin Moon, who's the owner of Car Arms. right? An innovative gun manufacturer and a gun company that's now relocated. It's actually in Pennsylvania, in Pike County, and the pastor Sean Moon. Justin, Sean, I want to thank you guys very much. First off, Sean, I want to go to you, Pastor Sean. What is Rod of Iron Ministries? The concept Rod of Iron. I was so fascinated when Alexander Priet and the other Pennsylvania crowd came to me. The name in and of itself attracted me to want to be part of it. But what does Rod of Iron Ministries stand for?
Well, the Rod of Iron Ministries, it comes from the scriptures in the Bible that show a decentralized armed society as the kingdom of God, where the rulers or co-heirs with Christ are made into kings and priests, as Revelation chapter 1 and verse 5 states. And as the Bible says in Psalm chapter 2, we shall rule the nations with the rod of iron and dash them to pieces like the potter's vessel. But in the poimaino rule, that is the shepherd's rule, not obeying man's laws like these crazy Chi-Com lockdown laws that we are protesting, but God's laws and celebrating God, guns, and country.
So when you look at the CCP virus, Reverend, I want to stay with Pastor Sean. I want to stay with you for a second. I'll come to Justin in a minute. But when you look at the pandemic, when you look at what's going on, and particularly in a state like Pennsylvania, what's your beef? What's your problem with what they've tried to do? Since public health officials are just saying, hey, we want you to wear a mask, we want you to lock down, we want you to social distance, because the way to stop the spread of this virus is to listen to public health officials. So what is Rod of Iron? What's your complaint about that? And what's your complaint? How do you tie that back to your biblical kind of orientation?
Well, the Bible says that we must submit ourselves unto God, but resist the devil, and he will flee. And so it is incumbent on the Christian to stand against unrighteousness. And, you know, our father was freed from a North Korean death camp by U.S. forces. So we know North Korea, we know communism very well. And he always taught us that it was political Satanism, that it's not just an ideology. It actually brings a culture of Satanism and genocide of children, of pedophilia, of breaking up marriages and families and destroying the father in the home, because really the hatred is for Jesus Christ and the Father. To replace him with a Luciferian figure or a fallen Eve figure. But it's been so draconian here. 60% of businesses, as you know, will be devastated and probably won't open again because of these crazy Chi-Com lockdowns. We essentially have become China here, and we're being forced to shop in Chinese grocery stores like Walmart and Amazon, etc. I mean, we might as well be shopping in Beijing, Steve. It's so crazy that we're experiencing this kind of communist style, iron hand, heavy-fisted lockdown orders. It's unbelievable. This is America.
Justin, I want to go to you, the head of CAR Arms. I know that you're very involved in the Second Amendment, and it was one of the main reasons for the conference. As you looking at the conference, you had such a huge draw. Where are Second Amendment advocates right now coming out, particularly in Pennsylvania? I don't think it's getting enough play that Joe Biden and these guys have a pretty radical plan for the Second Amendment. I mean, we won in 2016 because working class Democrats, union workers up in Michigan and places like Pennsylvania who are culturally conservative and particularly NRA members and hunters really backed the president. Do you think it's getting enough play this time, these issues around the Second Amendment, and do you think it's motivating people?
Oh, absolutely it's motivating people. Well, you know, Steve, Northeast Pennsylvania is really the key area where we got to keep the Trump coalition in place, and we got to get out the vote so that Trump can be pushed over the top to be reelected as stay as the 45th president in this 2020 election cycle. And you know what? The good news is that from the local political level, looking at all the alliances that existed in 2016, all the alliances that existed in 2016 are still in place, and they still intend to support President Trump. And, you know, we're working every day right up to the election to get the vote out, to make sure that we bring Pennsylvania over the top for the president and secure a victory for the president in 2020.
So, Justin, let me ask you, how can every piece of polling you're seeing coming out right now has got Pennsylvania, Trump's down 4, he's down 5, he's down 6. There's some polls says he's down 8, 9, or 10. given the enthusiasm I saw the weekend, given what you just said about the alliances, given the fact that everybody I talked to in Pennsylvania said, hey, people are more motivated than in 16 because they've seen how Trump can deliver. Walk our audience through, are these polls somehow off, or is it really he's that far behind and he's got to make it up with a big game day turnout? What is your thinking about these polls that are out there right now?
Well, let's just compare it relatively to 2016. So they only say that he's 4 points behind and say he only has like a 40% chance of winning the election. Hey, I see that as like 39 points ahead, because going into 2016, they said there was a 99% that Hillary Clinton would win the race, and Trump was so far in behind in Pennsylvania, it wasn't even considered a serious toss-up state. So we are in the fight, we are fighting hard, and we will make sure that President Trump wins Pennsylvania.
Justin, one more question for you before I turn back to Sean. Do you think right now Biden's up there trying to be Joe from Scranton instead of the guy that represents the party at Davos and these global corporations from Wilmington? Is Joe Biden getting any traction with working class people in Northeast Pennsylvania, which is, this election could come down to Northeast Pennsylvania? They selected Joe Biden for this particular reason. Is Biden making any inroads in your mind?
Oh, I think Joe Biden has turned into an embarrassment. I think a lot of people in this area don't see Joe Biden as the Joe Biden of the past. They see him as drifting to this anti-police, this pro-communist kind of crazy leftist progressive, and they don't like what they're saying. He used to be a good old boy, but he's not anymore, and he's made his bed with the billionaire elite who want to basically turn us into feudal serfs. So, well, the people are not stupid here. They're not going to have that. They don't want that. They want their freedom. They want their liberty. They want to be able to own small businesses. They want to have families. They don't want the government messing with their lives. They want to be able to frack. They want to go about doing manufacturing business, have protection for their businesses from Chinese flooding our markets with low-cost goods made by slave labor. So the folks around here know what's going on, and they certainly do see that President Trump has benefited them. So they're not stupid. That's what I got to say, man, Steve.
Pastor Sean, there's such a massive turnout for these two events over the weekend. I was really blown away by it. You see all type of analysis coming out of Washington now that evangelical Christians or faith-based Christians, that Trump overwhelmingly won in 2016, that there's been at least 20 to 25% of that vote that just doesn't believe in President Trump. They think he's been too tough, too much of a bully. For a whole host of reasons, they've turned away. As a pastor, are you seeing that it's still this hardcore Christian base, these faith-based people that live their religion, that really focus on lived Christianity? Do you think they still have President Trump's back, or you notice any wavering at all?
Oh, absolutely, Steve. They have President Trump's back 100%. He's the only candidate that's standing up to stop, the genocide of the children, over 70 million killed here in America. That makes almost 1 out of 3 women in America someone who has murdered their child. I mean, we're talking about serious anti-biblical culture. We're talking about drag queen story hours. We're talking about transgenderism being pushed on your kids. We're talking about the normalization of pedophilia in the schools. We're talking about serious sexual licentiousness being pushed upon our Christian children. And if there's anybody out there who claims to be Christian or even loosely related to Christ or Christian faith in general, they must absolutely not vote for Joe Biden. He will bring in the most dangerous form of communism, socialism that this side of the world has ever seen. And we will become like China. I wouldn't be surprised if through the UN, we would see troops on our own borders, Chinese troops. I mean, this is just absolutely over the top insane, but everybody who is in the body of Christ must not stand up for the incredible anti-Christ, anti-Christian positions that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris stand for.
Taking the 70 million because people had abortions. I want to ask you, we got 30 seconds left. How do you go from Joe Biden being a progressive Democrat to having Chinese troops on the border? You got 30 seconds. Walk me through the logic of that.
Well, if you have, for example, if there's chaos, if there's a civil war that may break out, the left on the West Coast have been saying they may succeed. They may ask for humanitarian aid, quote, or medical supplies. And of course, the UN and different militaries that are, in the UN could, be invited into those different areas. And they could be, used for what they would call humanitarian aid. But we would literally have military here in China, just like they did a couple of years in Germany, with the UN doing those kind of operations. So that's something that we definitely don't want to see. We got free from North Korea. We don't want America to become North Korea. God bless you, Steve, and God bless America.
Get your social media up in the next
we'll
segment.
back.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best sleep of my life.
They are so soft and smooth. I never slept so good.
I fall asleep faster because I'm actually comfortable.
I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable, which is why I can give you my full 10-year warranty. But I didn't stop there. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. I guarantee you the first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors and will be the softest, most comfortable sheets you will ever own. Use the promo code and get 2 for 1 low price, plus free shipping. Giza Dreams are made with the finest, most sought-after cotton in the world. Giza cotton was once reserved for only the finest dress shirts, but is now available in Mike's Giza Dream Sheets. They feature a beautiful silky sateen weave that helps keep you cool and comfortable all night long.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best rest of my life.
I love my Giza Dream Sheets. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Use the promo code and Mike will give you a very special 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. That's right, get 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. Call or go online now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Jim and Joanne are here to pick up the same prescription. They both know the system is not on their side. They both know drug costs are out of control. But one of them is taking back control with GoodRx.
Next.
So while he's paying that much, even with his insurance, she's paying this much just by using GoodRx. Use GoodRx to compare prices at pharmacies in your area and stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today and take back control.
These are our classes, our happy hours, our dates, our birthday parties, our shopping. We are learning new things.
Nice technique with that knife.
And getting in touch with things we left behind. These are our lives now. Come be a part of it online. GoDaddy is making it possible for everyone to create a website for free. Learn more at GoDaddy.com.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
President of the United States said yesterday at the rally in Sanford, Florida, that he has directed the head of the FBI to now go and arrest those people who tore down the statue of and desecrated the statue of Abraham Lincoln and Theodore Roosevelt in Portland. We're going to be joined in a moment by one of the best combat reporters around. Spent years in Afghanistan, Michael Yon. Before I do that, I finally met a couple of guys, Raheem and Jack, that made me look kind of moderate when it comes to the Chinese Communist Party. The Justin Moon and Sean Pastor Moon. I mean, wow, I tell you what, I want to hear the War Room Pan. I want to hear the live stream and the at hashtag War Room Pandemic, what they got to say. Pastor Sean just brought the heat. Jack, I know you got some thoughts about that. Tell me what you're thinking about Pastor Sean and Justin.
Our founding fathers must be smiling because their experiment worked, right? You look at these two great Korean Americans. One of them's a preacher. One of them's a gunsmith. What is that? That's the American experience all in one nugget, because where did the militia meet? They brought their weapons to church. And after church, they mustered so that they could protect their town and their families and be the militia that made this country. Guys, power hand salute. The fans love you. Also, I want to just comment quickly on that video. People, that's called pushing back.
Yeah, this is, I got to tell you, this thing out in Portland, I want to go now to Michael Yon. Michael, you've been in some of the toughest combat situations America's faced over the last 20 years. I mean, it's the reason that I originally met you was through Andrew Breitbart. And Andrew Breitbart was a massive fan of your work early on in Afghanistan and all the wars in the Middle East. You're now out, you're in bed out on the West Coast. Give us your observation of what's going on. Tell our audience. We've been covering this nonstop. We've got Jack Posobiec. We've had other embeds, but we just don't think the story's getting out, and the mainstream media refuses to cover it. Tell our audience what's really happening.
Hey, Steve, I love your show. I've been watching since it began in January. And then Hong Kong, of course, kicked me out on February 5th. I've been out of the United States for most of the last 20 years, mostly in conflicts, Iraq, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal, various places. So when I came back to the United States now, by the way, I would be in Taiwan right now if I were not back here for this. I came straight to Portland because Portland is clearly a huge nexus of what's going on. The first thing I do when I go to a conflict is set up my intel network, which is this time amazingly easy because there's a lot of pushback against Antifa and BLM here in in Portland. For instance, if you look at my Twitter feed, which is Michael_Yon, you'll see that a couple of nights ago I said hours in advance they were going to attack the statues. And last night I said hours in advance again that they would put up that nightmare elk again. So the intel here is coming very vibrantly. I'll be out with Proud Boys tonight. They're not going to do anything active. They're just coming to meet me, actually. And so, and I've asked them to watch your show today, actually, and make comments to say what's happening from their side. So what I'm seeing here is a government that's out of control. We've got a potential mayor of Portland, if she's elected. She's a clear supporter of the ideas of Mao and Stalin and Che Guevara and all those people that have caused so much death and destruction. But many of the people in Portland are pushing back.
Let's go. I want to go back to the Days of Rage, or the Day of Rage on the Indigenous Peoples Day that tore down the statues. I mean, that was a pretty organized effort. They had the grappling hooks. This looked like Jackson Square when they took down there, or Lafayette Park when they took down the statue of Andrew Jackson. I mean, this was pretty organized. I know the president got upset at that time. I know he ordered people to be arrested. I haven't seen any people arrested so far from that. Maybe they did. It hasn't been publicized. How can Michael Yon, who just gets off a plane from Hong Kong or Taiwan or Thailand, get embedded up there and has a better information network? Why did the authorities not know about this, and why did federal authorities not know about it? How could they get the grappling hooks up there and look like a pretty organized thing and topple the statues if hours beforehand you knew it was going on? This is the frustration. Where's the federal authority? 3 segments ago, we had the president saying last night he's ordered Ray on the FBI. Why wasn't Ray ordered beforehand to keep an eye on this thing? Everybody knows Columbus Day has gotten to be a hot button. Rudy Giuliani, there's not even a Columbus Day parade in New York City anymore. He used to be the greatest in the world, right? Not even a Columbus Day parade. He's got to go down to Philadelphia where they've got the Columbus statues covered up by plywood. And it's all graffiti. So how does Michael Yon know about this, but the federal authorities don't know about it. So now we have another victory for the radicals, for the cultural Marxists, for the Red Guards, so they can tear down Abraham Lincoln, the great liberator and great nationalist, right, that saved the Union, built the Transcontinental Railroad, passed the Homestead Act, passed the College Act for colleges, so everybody go to college, the Land Grant University Act. The guy's the greatest nationalist in the history of the country. How can we allow his statue to be desecrated? Michael Yan knows about it, but where are the federal authorities?
Yeah, check my Twitter. You'll see hours in advance I published they were going to hit the statue, and I published hours in advance they would put up that elk statue last night. Now, to be very clear, federal authorities absolutely 100% know about it. That's a fact. I communicate with feds every single day here. So they did know about it, and they knew about it in advance, and they told me in advance. They're one of the people also. Proud Boys knew and others knew. So it's well known, but the feds, their hands are tied. I mean, what can they do? They can't do anything because nobody's allowing them to do their jobs. They're just taking casualties, eye injuries from the lasers, hearing injuries from the massive, very big fireworks, bricks, slingshots. One federal agent got hit in the shin with a slingshot, embedded a ball bearing or something into a shin bone. I mean, the Antifa here is very easy to knock out if the order is given. It's too simple.
Well, how do you knock out Antifa? It sounds like they get more powerful every day. We're in day 150 of this siege of Portland. Tell me how, if it's so easy, why is it not being done?
It's not being done because the local government's not allowing it to be done. When they're arrested, like Portland Police Department arrested 20 or 25 about 3 nights ago. And they were immediately released.
By the way, federal authorities can override that. You can override that. It's just political will if you want to do it or not, right? You don't have to. If some mayor in some city wants to have Asians or Latinos or African Americans or people or Catholics rounded up, and they want to do that, it doesn't mean that we can accept that. Federal authority goes in and says you're not going to do that, right? And here's what you're going to do. This is about political will. Right? Why is this not being done? If you're saying they all know about it, then you're saying federal authority is comfortable with, and that goes all the way up to the White House, they're comfortable with having a Lincoln statue desecrated. And then afterwards they said they're going to be arrested. Where are the arrests in Lafayette Park? Where are the arrests around the rest of the country? I keep hearing about, they got a couple hundred arrested. I haven't seen any perp walks. I haven't seen any faces or anything. I haven't seen any charges brought. So your relationships with the federal authorities, what's going on?
It's a political will. I mean, you just nailed it. There's no other place to go with that. That's where it begins and that's where it stops. Political will. As soon as they decide to do something, most of the Antifa, their names are known. I mean, they're very well known. Their photos are out. Many of them have already been arrested before. This is too simple. All we need is for a high authority to say that is enough, and we can stop it right immediately.
Tell us now. You're out there. You've gotten to know the Proud Boys. Tell us about this. They got a question at the debate. President Trump, according to people, said, "Hey, didn't answer it hard enough." I was actually being interviewed on Showtime's The Circus at that time. Is Proud Boys? I've never known them to be a white supremacist organization. I don't know much about them, but I knew some of the guys associated with them. The guys I knew were never white supremacists. It was kind of it was a male bonding association or Western civilization to promote camaraderie and male bonding, things like that. But how did you've been spending time out there with them. Why don't you describe what they're like? What type of people are they? Are they solid citizens? What do we got here?
I'll be out with Proud Boys tonight. They're probably, the ones I'll be out with are probably watching your show right now because I told them I was coming on. They're not racial supremacists. I haven't seen that at all. In fact, many are black or Hispanic. I mean, they're different races, actually. Now, if you want to talk about racial supremacy, that's Antifa, that's BLM, that's also Boogaloo Boys, Ku Klux Klan. That's your racial supremacists right there. But Proud Boys, they're not that. Joe Biden, out of all the different groups in the world to pick, he picked the exact one wrong. The exact group that he should not have picked and grouped in with the racial supremacists because they're simply not. They're racially very diverse.
You've been in combat situations for 20 years. You've really been out of the country. in countries, traditionally Islamic countries, but I know you spend a lot of time in Southeast Asian and Asian countries. You know, I've never known you. You're a guy that's always been a very straightforward, no background or anything about white supremacism. So how did Proud Boys get wrapped up into this group like KKK and people like that? They're clearly neo-Confederates. Are clearly white supremacists. How the Proud Boys get rolled up into that?
Maybe a couple things. One is Joe Biden still thinks he's running for Senate, so then he picks out Proud Boys, which is exactly the wrong group to finger for this. Joe Biden's just Joe Biden. I mean, what can you do with that? And secondly, they are gaining power. Proud Boys, I mean, they're telling me there's different chapters all over the country and internationally at this point. They're growing. And so I think that the Democrats see them as a threat. They see Proud Boys as a threat. Not as a physical threat, because these aren't the guys out burning things down. They're just not like that. They're just good old boys, basically, and a lot of them are black, a lot are Hispanic. They're fine to be around. I do not feel I'll be alone with them tonight. I would not go alone with a bunch of Antifa people. I would probably be killed. But I'm not afraid to go alone with Proud Boys. They're not going to hurt me.
So, Michael, last thing. What's your Twitter handle? How do people get more access to all your reporting out there?
Go to Twitter. My Twitter is Michael_Yon. My last name is Y-O-N, Yankee Oscar November.
Do you get any sense after President Trump's, we got about 30 seconds, after President Trump's, what he said at the rally yesterday, is there any more focus by federal authorities on cleaning up the mess out in Portland, yes or no?
No, not at this point. And I'll be communicating with feds like the moment I get off the phone with you. I mean, they're very frustrated. They want to. They're pulling at the reins to go get these guys. If President Trump wants to put a stop to this, he can do it.
Michael Yon, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Good luck and be safe.
I love coming on, Steve. I'll talk with you all later.
Thanks, brother. Hey, Raheem, here's what I don't get. What's the disconnect between President Trump saying this at a rally, and it hasn't been done now in months and months and months? We've seen this Antifa thing. You got about 15, 20 seconds, then we'll bring it back after the break. But it's frustrating to people. Why is there such a big disconnect between the rhetoric and the action?
The only thing I can think of at this point in time is the politicking behind it. There is hay to be made of having these riots continuing out there, and I think it's a cynical thing. And I don't think it's coming from the president necessarily himself, but rather some of the people around him. You talk. How many times have we heard about banning Antifa? Where's the ban?
Short commercial break. War Room Pandemic. We'll be back in a moment.
America's favorite easy on, easy off energy compression socks just got better. Introducing Copperfit Energy Plus, the world's first graduated compression socks with a rich blend of ingredients found in the top moisturizing lotions and creams. These microencapsulated ingredients are infused into the compression fabric and are gradually released and absorbed by your movement. Motion-activated technology designed to hydrate and soften for all-day comfort. The more you move, the more Copperfit Energy Socks delivers.
I'm not thinking about that I have compression socks on. That simple fact that they feel better with them on than with them off makes me love these socks.
Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric made in FDA-approved manufacturing facilities, woven into our Easy On, Easy Off graduated compression sock to help reduce swelling and discomfort from prolonged sitting or standing.
I feel that soothingness in my calves and in my ankles, but they can make my feet feel good after 300 miles on the road, and they got to be good for anybody else.
Enhanced compression around the arch and ankles for extra support and relief of muscle aches and pains. And a soft, shock-absorbing footbed for all-day comfort.
All that arch pain that I typically have is just relieved.
They are super comfortable.
They do the job. They're easy and they're effective. That's the whole point of wearing them.
Commercials always promise, promise, promise. This was something easy to try. Just put on a sock, see if it works. I have to say that I'm a fan.
The first ever Easy On, Easy Off compression socks with hydrating ingredients worn by thousands of essential workers across the U.S. Order your Energy Plus compression socks online now at GetEnergyPlus.com for only $19.99 or call 1-800-515-8892. Order right now and get a second pair free.
I get compression, I get comfort, all in one sock.
Motorcycle guys appreciate the better technology. This is better technology.
Feel the power of CopperFit.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Why would the NBA take $500 million plus from a country that is engaging in ethnic cleansing?
So basically you're saying that nobody should do business with China ever.
Why don't you just answer my question?
No, Megan, I'm just trying to get to the root of it. So
why would the NBA do that? You are the one who
because
said,
they are a customer. They are a customer of ours. And guess what, Megan? I'm okay with doing business with China. You know, I wish I could solve all the world's problems, Megan. I'm sure you do too, but we can't. And so we have to pick our battles. And while you'd like to get proclamations so you can create a clip that says, look what I got Mark to say, you don't want to deal with the actual action item. You might think silence is violence, but action gets change, right? And so when I start to talk about creating our silence,
I mean,
you wouldn't let me say it. You stopped me every single time and said I was changing the subject.
Providing for asylum for those seeking it does absolutely nothing to help. Okay. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, came out and said, we recognize that Daryl Morey, he was the Rockets GM, Morey's views, quote, have deeply offended our friends and fans in China, which is regrettable. We have great respect for the history and culture of China and hope that sports and the NBA can be used as a unifying force to bridge cultural divides. In response to which, many people, here's just one example, Florida Senator Rick Scott came out and said, the NBA is more interested in money than in human rights. They are kowtowing to Beijing, and it's shameful. So you tell me whether the NBA needs to get more vocal in condemning what we're now seeing there, which is an ethnic cleansing of a minority Muslim group known as the Uyghurs. 1 million or more are being held against their will right now, men, women, and children facing torture, forced labor, physical and sex abuse, coercive population control, forced abortion, forced sterilizations. And the question remains, why won't you and the NBA explicitly condemn that?
So first, we pay attention. I personally, okay, let's just talk about me. I personally put a priority on domestic issues, right? When it comes to human rights, I'm against all human rights violations around the world. China
including the ones in China?
China is not the only country with human rights violations.
Right, but including the ones in China, you're against their human rights violations?
I'm against all human rights violations.
Including China, Mark?
Yes, including China. Any human rights violations anywhere are wrong.
Welcome back to the War Room. I'm a huge Mark Cuban fan, and I'm not a Megyn Kelly fan. Ever since she tried to kneecap President Trump in the first debate back in 2015, August 2015. Remember the first Fox debate, Breitbart. We went savage on Megyn Kelly for about a month. In fact, she was whining so much that she sicked Roger Ailes on us. But even with my close relationship with Roger, we didn't back off. However, that was a masterclass. We're going to put the whole thing up. You got to listen to the whole interview. Mark Cuban, I guess his media guys didn't tell him that it was no holds barred. She came at him. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant interview. It shows you when Megyn Kelly's on, she's pretty good. I mean, it was Mark Cuban's a smart guy. Mark Cuban's a tough guy. Mark Cuban understands the way the world works. She jammed him up right from the get-go on this China situation. And to be brutally frank, Mark's rationale, quite frankly, his excuses just didn't pass muster. So Megyn Kelly, remember, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And Megyn Kelly really went on the warpath against the NBA. And I got to tell you, seeing Adam Silver on the other night, that wimp talking about the most woke league in the world with the cratering of their ratings, and President Trump just mocking them last night from the stage. He says, "Oh yeah, I think we're going to have a return to normalcy next year." Well, your return to normalcy, sir, should not be about taking Black Lives Matter logos off the jerseys or logos off the courts or anything like that. The return to normalcy is to make sure that you don't support the slave labor in China. It's unacceptable what the NBA is doing, and quite frankly, for people paying, the taxpayers paying for these stadiums, etc., you're making everybody in this country complicit in your greed to go to China and basically partner with the Chinese Communist Party, right? And it's not just, Megyn Kelly was jamming them up at the Uyghurs, but it's the underground Catholic Church, it's the underground evangelical Christians, it's the Falun Gong, it's the Tibetan Buddhists, and it's just normal citizens, right? They're under this totalitarian dictatorship, the organ harvesting, the slave labor, all of it. And, it's easy to look the other way. It's easy to rationalize that I only focus on domestic problems and not international. But, hey, when it's you heard Reverend Sean Moon in the last segment or 2 segments ago, and look, he's hardcore. He calls Walmart and Amazon Chinese stores, right, selling you Chinese Communist Party junk every day. So, Raheem, Jack, Raheem, you make your living doing this. What's your assessment of Megyn Kelly jamming our good friend Mark Cuban?
That was impressive, especially when he clearly didn't want to answer the question of, China-specific human rights abuses, right? China-specific human. He said, I could have all human rights abuses. That's what people say when they don't want to go on the record because they know it will hurt them in the pocket somehow. And she managed to get that out of him. It's these sorts of moments, by the way, that create change. And it's because now Mark Cuban has said, whether or not he wanted to say it, he said it. He may well find that it is no longer in his business interest to keep not saying it.
Well, I think that I've said it for 2 weeks now. The biggest tell is the collapse in viewership of the NBA Finals. And what's happening is this is not just like old suburban white guys. This is in their hardcore demographic of 18 to 34-year-olds. And the reason why, Steve, and you pointed it out well, the American people are sick and tired of watching their own moral values be abused by these large corporate entities. And you also pointed out well, local communities should stop funding at the cost of billions of tax dollars these stadiums and all of these other things that go along with having an NBA team in your town. The American people should not have their values be sold out on the backs of the NBA profiteers and the Chinese Communist Party. That's just the way I feel.
Who's the National Pulse at 3, Raheem? Real quick. I want to say something else about me, Kelly.
Steve Cortez at 3 p.m.
Oh, Steve doesn't get any better. Steve Cortez from the campaign, former War Room. Okay, but by the way, that's the reason Megyn Kelly wanted to play it. You had a mainstream media person really lighten somebody up for the first time. I think it's powerful. And for people looking, I don't know why Megyn Kelly's on the bench. NBC couldn't make her likable because she's not likable, but she's a damn good interviewer. Somebody ought to get her off the bench and put her back to work. The podcast is great, but she ought to be back at work. Okay, see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Do you have any idea how your mattress affects your body and how well you sleep? Is it too hard or too soft, causing you to wake up with sore shoulders, back, or hips? Are you uncomfortable because you're too hot or too cold? Now you can get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new MyPillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new MyPillow mattress topper, I made it to have everything you'd ever want in a topper. My mattress topper helps give you the support you need, helps relieve your pressure points, and regulates your body temperature for you as an individual. It comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry the cover. It's made in the USA, and I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
Go to MyPillow.com or call now to get your very own MyPillow mattress topper. Use the promo code and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
MyPillow topper delivers on its promise to give me a better night's sleep.
I can sleep all night through, and it's a miracle for me.
Mike's exclusive 3-layer design starts with a layer of MyPillow foam, providing you superior support and comfort. The second layer of transitional foam evenly distributes body weight and helps relieve uncomfortable pressure points for optimal comfort. Mike's ultra-soft outer layer is a patented temperature-regulating cover that helps keep you at your ideal sleeping temperature all night long. Unlike other sleep systems costing thousands, the MyPillow mattress topper takes comfort to a whole new level without any wires, remotes, or moving parts. Call now or go to MyPillow.com to order your MyPillow topper. Use the promo code to save 30%. When you do, Mike will give you 2 of his standard MyPillows absolutely free. That's right, 2 standard MyPillows free and 30% off your MyPillow topper today. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
And happy Tuesday to you, and welcome to News On. I'm Miranda Khan. We want to get you right out to the Senate confirmation hearing for Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Let's take a listen. Let me go ahead.
Quite mercifully, and it's remained ever since then at 9 justices. I think it would have been a colossal mistake. Joe Biden himself, as a U.S. Senator, as a member of this body, in a proceeding of this committee in 1983, gave a rousing speech that I recommend to all, talking about that very thing, acknowledging that the Constitution doesn't require it, but our respect for the separation of powers really ought to lead to us sticking to the number 9. Don't pack the court. In recent days, I've seen some in the media and some in this body try to redefine what it means to pack the court. Some have suggested, well, court packing takes various forms, and it can mean confirming a lot of people all at once. Some have defined it so as to suggest that it consists of doing that which the Trump administration and the Republican Senate have been doing over the last 3.5 years, which is filling vacancies as they have arisen and doing so with textualist, originalist judges. This may not be something that some like, but this is not court packing. Court packing is itself manipulative. It's something that has great danger to do immense political and constitutional harm to our system of government, in part because it would set up a one-way ratchet. Once you create a position and confirm someone to that position, absent death, retirement, or impeachment and removal, that position remains in place. So, if, for example, a future Congress and White House were to decide to get together and to pack the court and increase the number, say, to 11, and let's say it's Democrats who do that, and we've got Joe Biden now as a presidential candidate who's refusing to say whether he would do it. There's a reason he's not saying whether he would do it. There's only one reason why you refuse to answer that question, and it's if you're wanting to be able to do it, but you don't want to take the heat for the fact that you're thinking about doing it right now. So if they do that, where does it lead? Well, it inevitably leads to the point where the next time Republicans have control of both houses of Congress and the White House, they'd increase it as well. You'd end up increasing it incrementally. Before long, it looks like the Senate in Star Wars, where you've got hundreds of people on there. I don't know what the total number would be, but you increase it at all, you change the number at all, you do so for partisan political purposes at all, you delegitimize the court. And you can't delegitimize the court without fundamentally threatening and eroding and impairing some of our most valued liberties. You can't do that without inevitably threatening things like religious freedom, things like free speech, things that are themselves often unpopular, but are protected by the Constitution precisely because they are unpopular. And yes, in that respect, the Constitution is sometimes counter-democratic. Sometimes it can be described as fundamentally undemocratic. In fact, it's the whole reason to have a Constitution, is to protect us from the impulse of a majority that might be bent on harming the few in the name of the many. That's why the law is so important. That's why the position for which you're being considered is so essential. That's why we've got to do our job to make sure that the only people who get the job for which you've been nominated fit the bill. You, Judge Barrett, are someone in whom I have immense confidence, immense trust, and I look forward to voting to confirming you for that very position.
Thanks, Senator Lee. Let's come back at 12:45. We'll start with Senator Whitehouse. We have 15 senators left. If everybody takes the 30 minutes, 7.5 hours. We'll take a break for dinner tonight, sometime later on, and a short break. Are you doing okay? 3 hours about right? So we'll come back at 12:45, and right now we're on schedule to be here to 9 o'clock, but we'll do whatever the committee wants. We're in recess to 12:45.
And welcome back to News On. I'm Miranda Kahn. You're watching Real America's Voice. You've been watching live, again, the confirmation hearings for Judge Amy Coney Barrett. You just heard from Senator Mike Lee of Utah there questioning the judge. As we're anticipating, a lot of this may end up being political theater. Will it have an impact? We're going to ask our panel. Joining me now, we'd like to welcome in Dave Ehrenberg. He is State Attorney General for Palm Beach County, Florida. Good to have you back.
Great to be back, Miranda.
Joining us here on the left, we didn't scare you, although you're a little further away.
Socially distanced.
Socially distancing. Also with us is Javier Man Harrison. It's been a long time. You're a political analyst. You've done several publications, including The Floridian. You worked on multiple campaigns, and you yourself have also run. And I've had the pleasure of having these two men on before for a different network, so we're reunited, and it feels so good.
And we're social distancing about 2 feet.
But you guys,
no, that's more than that. Well, maybe you want to move.
Well, I don't know. I just love the fact that you guys called each other to wear the exact. Pretty much.
Kinda. Mine is a little more periwinkle than his light blue.
You call it periwinkle?
Maybe not turquoise.
I'm going to say a little more aqua.
Looks more like Perry Ellis than periwinkle.
Ooh, wow. Okay, so we're having fun. I'm glad to see you guys have your sense of humor still. So here we are, day 2 of what's supposed to be 4 confirmation hearings for Judge Barrett. Obviously, Republicans are pretty confident about this, that they have the numbers of votes that it takes to confirm her. But I want to go into some of the things coming up after the break that we've heard so far from day 1, also going to day 2. A lot of the focus has been about the Affordable Care Act, also Roe v. Wade. I want to get both of you to weigh in on that, how impactful those questions or comments are going to be when it comes to actually confirming her. So again, we're going to get into all that and some of the stories that are making headlines. We'll also take you out back live. It looks like they're taking a little bit of a break, but we'll take you back out live to those confirmation hearings coming up. You're watching News On. We'll be right back.
So
gotta have more time than that.
Do you have any idea how your mattress affects your body and how well you sleep? Is it too hard or too soft, causing you to wake up with sore shoulders, back, or hips? Are you uncomfortable because you're too hot or too cold? Now you can get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new MyPillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new MyPillow mattress topper, I made it to have everything you'd ever want in a topper. My mattress topper helps give you the support you need, helps relieve your pressure points, and regulates your body temperature for you as an individual. It comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry the cover. It's made in the USA, and I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
Go to MyPillow.com or call now to get your very own MyPillow mattress topper. Use the promo code and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
MyPillow topper delivers on its promise to give me a better night's sleep.
I can sleep all night through, and it's a miracle for me.
Mike's exclusive 3-layer design starts with a layer of MyPillow foam, providing you superior support and comfort. The second layer of transitional foam evenly distributes body weight and helps relieve uncomfortable pressure points for optimal comfort. Mike's ultra-soft outer layer is a patented temperature-regulating cover that helps keep you at your ideal sleeping temperature all night long. Unlike other sleep systems costing thousands, the MyPillow mattress topper takes comfort to a whole new level without any wires, remotes, or moving parts. Call now or go to MyPillow.com to order your MyPillow topper. Use the promo code to save 30%. When you do, Mike will give you 2 of his standard MyPillows absolutely free. That's right, 2 standard MyPillows free and 30% off your MyPillow topper today. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept.
I really love the towels. They're really great. They're super absorbent.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. The new MyPillow towels are exclusively made with 100% USA combed cotton with proprietary technology and with maximum absorbency. They dry you faster and are guaranteed to work. And listen to this. Use the promo code on your screen and Mike will include a second full towel set with bath towel, hand towel, and washcloth absolutely free. That's 2 MyPillow towel sets for the price of 1 in your choice of color.
I personally guarantee they're going to be the best towels you'll ever own.
Order now.
And welcome back to News On. I'm Miranda Kahn. Again, it is day 2 of the confirmation hearings for Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Again, they have taken a slight recess, but it's going to be going on for quite a while. Oh, I don't know, 11 hours just today alone. This is day 2 of what is going to be day 4 of these committee hearings. Rejoining me once again here live in the studio, we have Dave Ehrenberg and Javier Man Harrison. Thank you, gentlemen, for sticking around. So right before the break, we heard from Senator Mike Lee of Utah. We've been hearing from senators all day, again, the past 2 days. Yesterday was more opening statements. Today we're hearing more questions. In particular, and I want to get your reaction from Dianne Feinstein from California. Here's some of the questions that she asked of Judge Barrett today.
So on something that is really a major cause with major effect on over half of the population of this country, who are women, after all, it's distressing not to get a straight answer. So let me try again. Do you agree with Justice Scalia's view that Roe was wrongly decided?
Senator, I completely understand why you are asking the question, but again, I can't pre-commit or say, yes, I'm going in with some agenda, because I'm not. I don't have any agenda. I have no agenda to try to overrule Casey. I have an agenda to stick to the rule of law and decide cases as they come.
In a recent dissenting opinion that you wrote, you said there was, quote, no question, end quote, that, quote, keeping guns out of the hands of those who are likely to misuse them, quote, is, quote, a very strong governmental interest. Do you stand by that statement?
I can't remember precisely the words of Cantor, which is the case in which I dissented. Which
That's
I think
correct, Cantor v. Barr.
Cantor v. Barr. What I said in that opinion, I stand by, which is that the original meaning of the Second Amendment, and I went through a lot of detailed history in that case, does support the idea that governments are free to keep guns out of the hands of the dangerous. So, for example, the mentally ill, others who would be likely to misuse guns.
So there you hear Judge Barrett there answering questions again from Senator Feinstein, talking about everything from Roe v. Wade. Guns were brought up, also an opinion piece that she wrote when it comes to the Affordable Care Act. But the Affordable Care Act clearly took center stage yesterday. Was this a good approach, Dave, in your opinion, focusing more on health care, if you will?
Yes, the polls show that most Americans want to continue the Affordable Care Act, not repeal it. And she would be the fifth vote to repeal something that's very popular. And that's a big reason why they're rushing to get her on the court before the election. This is the first case that will appear before the Supreme Court right after the election, the Affordable Care Act. They could have also gone into Roe versus Wade, but that's a little more contentious. And then, then it feeds into the Republicans' attempted narrative that, oh, you're just discriminating against her because she's Catholic, which of course is ridiculous because Joe Biden, the Democratic standard bearer, also is a practicing Catholic. So by doing this, they have a two-pronged strategy. Number one, go to the most popular issue, the ACA, and number two, undermine the Republicans' counter-argument that you're just biased against Catholics.
So the Supreme Court is going to be taking up that issue come up in November, and right now we have a dead-even Supreme Court. She gets nominated. That would be number 9. Does Dave bring up a point? I mean, is that why Republicans want her on there to repeal the Affordable Care Act?
Listen, I don't know about Dave, but I can't read minds. Neither can the rest of the Democrats. How do they know how she's going to vote? Look, the Democrats, I mean, Republicans, when they confirmed Roberts, Justice Roberts,
good point.
Did he repeal? He had the power to repeal the entire thing. He didn't. So they don't know what she's going to do or say. So they're assuming that. And again, it's a political season. It's a political jab. I get it. That's all they can go after on because they can't question her judicial bona fides or her record. It's impeccable. They confirmed her several years back. They can't. So if they want to take that narrative, like Dave is saying, that's fine. I get that. That's a fair attack on the AC, but they really don't know what she's going to do.
I see you nodding your head.
Except she has a paper trail. Justice Roberts does not have the paper trail that Amy Coney Barrett has, where she's on record opposing the ACA and is part of groups that oppose Roe versus Wade, has been signed on to letters opposing Roe versus Wade. So it's a little different. She is not a blank slate. We know who she is. That's why Josh Hawley supports her. In fact, he said, I'm not just supporting justice.
But she may very well not vote against it or vote for it if it comes up to it. You don't know.
Well, you know what? There is truth to what Javier says. There's never a guarantee because you do see justice going other way. But she is embedded in the conservative movement with writings, articles, parts of organizations to overturn Roe versus Wade, to oppose the ACA.
Listen, whatever you're drinking, I'll have it after 5, okay? Whatever you guys are drinking, fine.
But let me ask you this, though, because she has been very calm during her responses today, saying, look, it's not her job to create law. Her job is to uphold the law as it is written. She obviously was under Antonin Scalia, the late Antonin Scalia, but yet she still says, I am not another Antonin Scalia. I am who I am. Is she doing a good job, in your opinion, as far as defending herself as someone that merely is there to uphold the law and interpret the law as the founding fathers wanted it to be upheld?
Yeah, she's answering how she has to answer. They're trying to bait her, which is par for the course. They're trying to bait her into saying she's going to be just like Antonin Scalia, so they can drum up another line of attack against that she's too conservative for the court. Look, she can't give her opinion on how she's going to vote. That's what they're going to be asking her to do, and she's not going to do it. She's doing fine. I think she'll be fine. And like Dave knows, and all Democrats know, she's going to get in. We have the vote, or Republicans have the votes. Unless something disastrous happens between now and the vote, she's going to be in.
Well, could something happen? I mean, it seems like right now Republicans could only lose, 3 in order for her not to be confirmed. But there is one person, supposedly, several reports out there saying Susan Collins is not drumming up the support that she used to be drumming up. Now, she is obviously considered one that doesn't always go with party lines, but people are speculating that she may be in jeopardy. So is it possible that Susan Collins, even though she has said that she is open and plans on supporting, is it possible that she may do that in order to hold her position?
You never know with Susan Collins what she's going to do. She initially was opposed to naming a justice before the next election. She and Murkowski both took that position. So I could see her and Murkowski voting no, but it's just not enough. Look, you don't have to trust me.
So what you're saying is, if I just hear you correctly, is that you believe she's going to be confirmed.
Oh, yeah, the Republicans
Before the election?
Yeah, the Republicans are rushing this through. In the last year of an election, not even, by the way, it's not before the election. People are voting now. This is during the election. They are rushing this through. And you know what? Javier is right. Their belief is that, look, elections have consequences.
Oh, come on now. Wait, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I have heard both parties argue this.
Yes. But I'm making a point on this.
Am I right?
Because, as Javier said, elections have consequences. Republicans have the votes. So don't complain after the elections when the Democrats win the Senate if they enact court reform. Republicans are going to hate that.
Now, wait a minute. Whoa. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about court reform. I'm going to ask my producer, Dane, do we have those responses that we've received when it comes to packing the Supreme Court? We've had Biden respond to it a couple times. We don't have it. Okay, so he's responded at least 3 times that I have seen. One where he didn't want to address the question. One where he said, back in 1983 on C-SPAN, they had it where he said that it was a, quote, bonehead idea, and then just recently saying, well, yeah, I'm not in favor of it. So what do you think? I mean, you're an attorney. Do you like this idea of packing the Supreme Court? And explain to our viewers, because we just kind of presume that everybody knows what we're talking about.